I'd like to welcome, 1, 2, 3, go. Go, we're on the air. I'd like to welcome my mother, Mrs. Gloria Schwartz, from Far Rockaway/Deerfield Beach, who was here for our double simcha this past Shabbos, wedding of our son, Levi Yitzchak, the Tova Lane, and Eli Melch's bar mitzvah. So I get the extra schus of having her here with us today. And she's going to be around for a few weeks, so you might see her again. Anyway, thank you for those who came by to share in our bar mitzvah. I'll allude to some of the things we said in shul because it was, I think, something worth reviewing. Special moment when my dad was able to give a double bracha like Yaakov Avinu to 2 grandchildren at once, like Ephraim and Menashe, and we'll get back to that. But today we'll begin. Today's title is Holy Roller. Holy Roller. Who is the Holy Roller? Yaakov Avinu. Why is he the Holy Roller? Because he said, because I'll tell us, when he gathered around his 12 sons, around him on his deathbed, Chazal tell us, Bikesh Yaakov, Bikesh legalos es haketz. Yaakov tried to reveal the end days to his children. The word gal is the word for wheel or roll, right? Now, I want to mention to you, so I'm going to ask a few questions on this episode of the blessing of Yaakov to his sons. Because when you just take a look at it a little bit deeper, we see that it's very, very enigmatic what really was Yaakov's intention and then what actually did happen. Okay. So, first thing that Yaakov does is Vayikra Yaakov el banav. He calls them. He does it. They don't come to him. Remember what happened with Yosef. Yosef hears from Menashe that his father's not doing well. This was before. And then they run and they get a bracha. So what happened here? That the brothers did not do that. They weren't apparently monitoring as closely. Yaakov had a moment of inspiration that he said, I'm going to call them. It's now time. Vayikra Yaakov el banav vayomer asvu va'agida lachem es asher yikra eschem va'achris hayamim. Now he doesn't say here hineni anochi that I'm about to die, or you know what I'm saying. He doesn't say hine avicha chole, or he doesn't refer to his illness at all, right? Correct. Chazal say that Yaakov Avinu we know that he came to Mitzrayim at what age? 137. Well, yeah. No, he was 130 when he appears to Paro, right? And he lived 17 years in Mitzrayim for a total of 147, correct? It was ironic that 17 was the year that was the amount of years that Yosef was away. And the gematria of 17 is Tov. It's actually good. These were the good years, so to speak, of Yaakov Avinu. But as we see from the beginning of the Parshat Vayechi, that's not exactly true. Because all the years of Yaakov are described as filled with chayim, of life, not just these last, right? And the language that the Parsha gives us at the very beginning, Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim 17 shana, Vayehi yimei Yaakov shnei chayav 7 shanim, right? Va'arba'im u'ma'as shana. Very strange. Why do you have to give me his total years now? There's a lot of events that are going to unfold, right? Why does it fast forward us to the very end of Yaakov's life? And then, not only that, next pasuk, Vayikruvu Yemei Yisrael Lamus. He came close for him to die. And then he calls Yosef and makes him take a shvuah. Well, did this take place before this commandment to the sons? Rashi is not concerned about sequence necessarily. He'll say Ein Mukdam U'Muchar B'Torah. But it begs the question. It seems that Yaakov's life is already coming to an end. He speaks to Yosef. On top of that, Yosef summons his own sons and runs there. Hine avicha choleh, right? And he gives a bracha to Ephraim and Asher. That would have seemed to be the end of the story, right? And then we have, the brachos. And he establishes them Ephraim and Menashe. And then all of a sudden we have this next story, Revi'i, a whole new thing. Vayikra Yaakov el bono vayomer he'asfu v'agid lchem es asher yikra eschem ba'achos yamim. What is his intention? So here's what Chazal said, that, I'll read you the words. Agid lachem. Bikesh legalos es haketz v'nistalka b'menu shchina, right? V'hischil oimer dvarim acherim. So his original intention was thwarted, and he started to do something different. What was the something different? The actual brachos that he gave was not his original intent. That's what Chazal say, which is interesting, because you might have thought that it's just a flow. You say, I'm going to tell you what's happening to you. And then the pasuk seems to flow, speaks about the future of each of these tribes. So why were Chazal compelled to say this? So the Sifsei Chachamim says that there's two verbs here. It says he'asvu ve'agida lachem. All right, he'asvu means that you should gather together. Hikabsu is a second verb. So listen carefully. First he says, Hey asvu v'agid lachem es asher yikraz. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen ba'achris hayamim. The end. And then the pasuk base. Hikabsu v'shim'u. Like a kibbutz. Gather together and listen. 1 second. You have any question with that? You already just said, Hey asvu v'agida, which means gather and I'll tell you. And now he's saying, come together and listen. So Chazal were concerned about this redundancy. So they said, because the original message, which is relevant to the words, he asfu v'agida, are no longer relevant. Now we got to do something different. He kabsu v'shimu. So what is this something different? Okay, that's question number 1. Good? So far so good? Question number 2. It says that the Shechina was taken away from Yaakov. What does that mean, the Shechina was taken? So what couldn't he do anymore? Nevuah, right? So you would think that he couldn't see into the future, right?
For that particular thing, to tell them at the end of the patient.
Correct. But that's not what it says. It says, Nistalka mimeno Shechina. It doesn't say Nistalka mimeno Nevuah. And it doesn't say, as Mrs. Brown is suggesting, that nistam inyan haketz. It doesn't say that was sealed off. It uses the phrase that the Shechina went away, which we would normally associate, right? Where else do we have the Shechina going away from Yaakov?
When he was in mourning
for Yosef, for many years, right? How many years? 22 years. And then it says, Vayechi ruach Yaakov. And who was the one who got Yaakov back on his feet, so to speak? What was her name? Serach, the daughter of Asher. And how did she do it? She played the harp, the same instrument that who would eventually play? Okay, hold on to that thought. 2 people playing the harp. What was her reward? She lived eternally. She got eternal life. Now, what does that mean? That she went up to Shemayim like Eliyahu Navi, whatever it is, but we say that she definitely witnessed Chanukat Beit HaMikdash. So she was around all the way until who? David and Shlomo Melech. It's a very good question. You know what they say?
It's not such a reward because you don't have any contemporaries. Rabbi Brian pointed this out. He had a very old man, was very old, and when he came to visit, he said, I don't want to live anymore because I have no one to talk to.
No one one to talk to. Yeah, like Choni HaMa'agel. And that was only 70 years.
Right.
Can you imagine 400 years? We know what they say. The first 300 years are the hardest. After that, it gets much easier. So,
And also she must have seen children and grandchildren die.
that's correct.
This is not such an easy thing.
Not an easy thing. But it's considered a reward, which is
Yeah.
interesting, which is, you're asking a good question. So the second curiosity is, if indeed Yaakov was, how shall I say, was blocked from his prophetic powers, the brachos are filled with prophecies. I'm sorry, it's quite the opposite. Let's go through that a little slowly, right? I'm going to show you, we can make a list out how many prophecies were included in these brachos. Starting with, well, Reuven there really wasn't, right? Shimon and Levi there was one. It says, that's right. Or apam ki oz, their anger is too powerful. Ve'evrasam, their enmity is kashasa, is too strong. Achalkeim b'Yaakov, v'afitzeim b'Yisrael. I'm going to spread them out. I'm going to separate them from each other. Just like who separated them out? Physically separated them. Who was the one who separated Shimon from the brothers? Yosef did. You understand? That was a precursor to this. He says, I got to take Shimon away from Levi, because if Shimon and Levi are together, what can result? Anything can result. They destroyed the city of Shechem, the two of them. It's a volatile combination. Why? Levi represents Kanaos. He's a Kanai, right? Eliyahu Navi was a Kohen. Kino Kinesi Lashem, religious zealousy. Pinchas ben Elazar, Bekano et Kinasi, right? So when you have a religious fervor, right, a jealousy for God, that's going to prompt you to take pretty dramatic action. What was Shimon's power? What was Shimon's power?
God heard her voice.
Shimon had, that's right, Shimon had a lot of power. What was his power? His power was his passion, his energy. The month of the year that's associated, according to Sefer Yetzirah, according to everybody, with Shimon is Av, the month of Av. What happens in the month of Av? It's either Ma'orei Or, like Rabbi Nachman says, or Ma'orei Eish. Either it's going to be a great light, and we'll celebrate. Tisha B'Av eventually will be a great light. But right now, it's B'machashachem Hoshivani, it's a darkness. It turns into fire, destructive fire. So energy can either be illuminating, invigorating, or consuming. That's right. Zimri, who the Gemara describes, he was the Nasi and he committed an act of immorality, which was a misuse of his passion. And they were all these women of Midian and Moab who came, they induced this out of Klal Yisrael. They aroused their passions in a way which was an Aveira, which was the opposite of Kedusha. Very dangerous. So if you put passion, fire, together with zealousy, idealistic zealousy, that's flammable. That's a flammable combination. Right? The zealot can sit back and tell you, lead the charge or just, hype people up to go take action. So, Achalkeim b'Yisrael, what does Rashi say? Afrideim zemizeh shelo yeh Levi b'minyan hashvatim. Levi is going to be removed from the count of 12. Remember, this just was set up before. It was a plan. Ephraim and Manasseh were separated into two so that we would get a double dose of who? Double dip of Yosef. Because Yosef is the one who physically has to insert himself in between Shimon and Levi. In a physical sense, that's what he did. And that's what Rashi is referring to. By inserting the extra tribe, we push Levi out of the inheritance of the land of Israel, right? And he now is working for Hashem. He got kicked upstairs. He's working for the family. It's like the guy who can't hold down a job, but he can work for the family because they will tolerate him. We're not going to fire him. Hashem says, Levi, you stay right here because your kanos could be something problematic. When did it come back? The kanos of Shevet Levi in a very powerful way in Jewish history, which turned the course of Jewish history around. Kriyat Ego, I'm talking about later. Hanukkah. The experience of the Maccabim, according to our historians, was sui generis. It was different. The Jewish people in the second base of Mikdash were ruled by foreign powers. They had no military. They had nothing. They were either Persian subjects, heavily taxed, mind you. The Iranians love the money. They love the money. They want the money. They didn't care so much about the covet. They wanted the money, right? The Romans wanted the money and the covet. They wanted both. Well, the Greeks certainly wanted the covet. See, Romans Romans combined the worst of the Persians and the worst of the Greeks. The Greeks wanted the Jewish mind and body. They didn't want to destroy them. They wanted to transform them. We spoke about that last week. Anyway, so says Yaakov Avinu, I cannot have Levi and Shimon as having portions in the land of Israel. Look what he does to Shimon. Listen to what he says. This is Bereshit Rabbah. Davar acher ein lecha aniyim v'sofrim u'melamdei tinokos ella mishimon. Shimon, the passionate Zimri, right? If he's the head of the tribe, watch out. It could be a conflagration, a fire. You know that 24,000 B'nai Shimon were destroyed in a fire? Hashem sent a fiery plague and ate them up. That's Shimon. Eish. Kidei sheyiyu nifotzim. He tells them, you be teachers. Go travel, go collect money, go teach. You have to be malamet tinoikis. That means you have to travel far from your home and live in somebody's house humbly. Did not have his own chelik in Eretz Yisrael. Did not. In the Navi, Yeshua, it says Yehuda goes up and conquers the southern portion of Israel and tells Shimon, come with me and fight with me. Come with me, and I'll give you a portion from the land of Eden. They never had their own portion. Does Reuven get his own portion in Eretz Yisrael? Yes or no? Down only on the other side. And who does Hashem send over there? First of all, who wanted to be on the other side? Reuven and Gad. And who does Hashem also send over there to watch them? Part of Menashe. Part of Menashe. Why Menashe? Who's Menashe from? If you don't have Yosef over there watching them, Reuven is going to go off, and so is God. If Yosef is there guiding them, then we can keep them in the fold.
But the truth of the matter is that Menashe got something to there.
Eventually, yes, that's true. Except for the famous Benos Tzalafchad, which I had a question which I found out, which I for many years was wondering about, and I saw it's a Beferish Rashi. The daughters of Tzalafchad loved Eretz Yisrael. Now you understand why Menashe was put on the other side of the Ardain? Why was he put on the other side of the Ardain? Because their intense love for Eretz Yisrael means that they'll always connect those that are Eveli Ardain to Eretz Yisrael. They'll always have that passionate love for Eretz Yisrael. Where did they get their inheritance? In the Menashe on the other side, or in the Menashe in the land of Israel? Good question. Where did the 5 daughters of Tzalafchad take their inheritance? On the half of tribe of Menashe that was on the out, or the half of tribe of Menashe that was on the in? I was doing some research on this. It's a good question, no? You would think, right? The answer is both. Somewhere on that side and somewhere on that side, which is poetically beautiful, to connect the Chutz La'aretz, because that was Menashe's job anyway. Yeah. Just saw that recently. They took their chelik on both sides, because they had a number of portions. They had the portion of their father that they divided, and then they each had their own portion. So somehow it came out that their portions were spread over those 2 locations. And the father was a double portion. So they took.
And
I mean, they didn't get the 5 individual portions. You have to understand. They divided the double. They actually got 3 portions. Mishnah says they got 3 portions. They got the portion of their father, who was a Yotzei Mitzrayim, right? And they got the portion of the father when he died, right? So that way he was a Bechor, so he got double. So there was 3 things. There was a double portion for Tzlafchad, and there was an additional portion for anybody who left Mitzrayim. So it was like a 3-way. They got 3 things. So between the 5 of them, they divided 3 portions. Apparently, some of it was on this side, some of it on that. A very interesting side point. But anyway, we see clearly one thing, that Yaakov sees into the future and says, or he gives him a command. Okay, you can say to me, well, Rabbi Schwartz, this is not seeing into the future. This is actually creating the future. Okay, fine, I'll grant you that. So let's move ahead. You didn't find it here? Let's look at Yehuda. Yehuda, ata yaducha achecha. Right? And Rashi says that Yehuda was backing away because he saw that Reuven, Shimon, and Levi didn't do so well. None of them got a place in the land of Israel. And Yehuda was like, now what's going to happen to me? And Yaakov says, no. You're getting a promotion. Yadcha ba'oref oivecha. You are going to be the military leader. You will be the king. Firstborn Reuven, no king. Secondborn Levi, no king. Thirdborn Shimon, no king. Fourthborn Yehuda, you are the one. When? B'yemei David. So how does Yaakov know that? He's seeing the future, is he not? But you could say, well, Rabbi Schwartz, he was just commanding the future, which was realized in the days of David. You hear? Okay, I'll accept that. But wait. It says, Gur Arya Yehuva, says Rashi, Al David hit nabe. Sorry, ladies, you can't go any further than that. He prophesied that there would be a small lion. Tchila Gur, a lion cub. When was David a lion cub? When who was the king at the time? When Shaul was the king, Shaul is compared to which? Binyamin is compared to which animal? A wolf. Which is more ferocious, a wolf or a lion? Lion. A wolf is no slouch. The Mishnah says, listen to this, that when wolves are on the prowl, sometimes the wolves get brazen and they start attacking human beings. Okay? That's not typical, but it could happen once they get used to that. Even one wolf is considered too much for a shepherd to handle. So if a wolf attacks a flock that the shepherd has responsibility for, right, and takes away some of the flock, the shepherd is considered patur. What do you mean? You didn't do your job. You got a stick. You got rocks. Chase them away. If a wolf is on the prowl and it's emboldened, there's no way even an experienced shepherd cannot chase away a wolf that's bishat mishlachat ze'evim, when the ze'evim are on the prowl. Otherwise, 2 wolves are considered, if the shepherd says, I was attacked by 2 wolves, then he can say, I'm patur. I don't have to pay for the damages because I couldn't help it. But the other opinion, Rabbi Yehuda says, if they're used to attacking, there's nothing you can do. So that's the first malchus, was like that. You know what's interesting about a wolf? A wolf is predatory, but in a sneaky way, right? It doesn't come out in the open. It's not big enough. It's not big enough, really, to trample anything. So it has to go with stealth, right? It's a stealth. A lion just runs after you and tramples you. At least the female lions. That's the truth. It's really the female lions that do that. No comment. Male lions, you know how male lions get their prey? It says right here, Kara ravatz ka'aryeh. ukalavi mikumenu. They just crouch down in the brush. And then when something comes by, like a gazelle or whatever it is, they jump on it and dress. They cannot outrun the animal. They're not fast. The male lions are too heavy. They can be easily outrun by all the things that they like, antelopes, gazelles, whatever they enjoy. They can't catch them. The females can catch them. Females know how to hunt also better. But the beginning Malchut was like as dangerous as a wolf. Then David was only a lion cub, right? However, Ulubasof Aryeh, because that's what the pasuk says. Gur Aryeh Yehuda. David will be the lion cub. Miteref Bani Alisa. He will then, be able to tear its prey. But then it's compared to a mature lion. Kara Ravatz Ka'aryeh Kalavi Mikamenu. Someone where there is intimidation. A lion, you don't want to mess with the lion. When David was strong, the nations of the world around him were nichna. The Plishtim did not defeated Shaul. Amalek was still active and rampant. It was David that put down those two thorns in our side till today. Where the Plishtim live? Where did they live? Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon. Nothing has changed. Thorn in our side since day one. There were only two kingdoms in the history of the Jewish people in the land of Israel that ever dominated, well now, at least Israel did for a time, but you see how hard it is. Two kingdoms were able to suppress Gaza, Ashdod, and Ashkelon. Shaul could not do it. That's the battle that we had right here, Og Melech HaBashan, down the road a couple of miles. You see how far they came? They were all the way here till Beit Shemesh. How far are we from Kiryat Gat? Kiryat Gat, 20 kilometers? That was the heartland of the Plishtim. Forget Gaza. That goes without saying. Ashdod, Ashkelon, Kiryat Gat. This was enemy territory. Always was. Who suppressed them? David HaMelech. Who suppressed Amalek? David HaMelech. Who was the next kingdom that was able to suppress Gaza? Fascinatingly enough, the Maccabees. Yonatan the Maccabee. We should know this because we just came out of Hanukkah. A little history is important because it's relevant to what we're saying right now. It says that who's supposed to be the king? Lo Yasser Shevet mi Yehuda. Yaakov says he has to be the king. King conducts war, security. The number one job of a leader is security. If they don't do security, they're not worth anything. The second thing I need to bring is prosperity. The two words are linked. Lechem and what? Milchama. It's all the same. Lechem and milchama. That's the job of a king. You can't do it, get out. Let somebody else do it. Yehuda is the one who's best designed for it. Raglav ad ki yavo Shiloh. Today in my home I had a very marvelous guest for our weekend, my good friend. We're giving him a shout out, Nelson Obis from Princeton, New Jersey, big supporter of One Israel Fund. Very big supporter. You know what One Israel Fund does? Among other things, work on the security for all the settlements in Yehuda Shomron, projects to promote their security. So fellow who came to pick him up today and take him, now he's out in the heartland over there in Hebron, outside of Hebron. All the places where it's the most dangerous places to live in all of Israel today. And this guy comes in with a Indiana Jones hat and a long hair, and he says, my projects are security. He says, now we're working now with the Army to transform the entire security apparatus because it's not working. You see how they can just drive up and shoot and kill people? Which was only because of why? Why, you think they're stupid? They don't know how to make checkpoints? They know very well how to make checkpoints. But the pressure against Israel is so intense. Even from America, leave the Palestinians. You can't block the roads, and you're oppressing them, and it's humanitarian. So they pull back the checkpoints, and they come with the machine guns and shoot. This is part of our big goals today. Anyway, so he's out there today, and what it says is that the chief of security has to be Yehuda. But come the Maccabees, and they fight. Levium, that fight. What is a Kohen allowed to do? Is a Kohen allowed to kill people? Who was the last Kohen that killed people and got rewarded for it? Pinchas, right? There's a Kohen Meshuach Milchama. There is a Kohen. There is such a Kohen. He's like a Kohen Gadol almost. It's a fascinating thing. There's two types of Kohanim. There's the Kohanim that works in the base of Mikdash, the Kohen that goes out to war, but it's a very limited role. Very limited role. And very rare. But it's not, doesn't make him the king. It makes him a Kohen. He's probably the Navi or the Melech. Moshe picked Pinchas. So you see that was the paradigm. But he was both Melech and Navi at the same time. So the Maccabees had no right to claim the Malchut for themselves. This was a direct violation of this pasuk right here. And for that reason, they were roundly criticized. They died. Chazal said about them that if you said you're from the house of Hashmonai, it means you were the slave of a slave. Because what happened? And again, I'm not here to speak poorly about anyone, chas v'sholom, but what happened was the subsequent kings became more and more Hellenized, right? But what they did do was annex large parts of territory and force the population to convert to Judaism. The Idumeans who lived in the Midbar Yehuda, down south towards Beersheba, were forced to become Jews. They were. Remember that from the time of the exile of the 10 tribes, there were all sorts of foreign populations. Sancherev Bilbel es ha'umos. Who else distributed populations all over? They shouldn't feel a connection to their land. Yosef bought all the Mitzrayim as slaves for Paro. It says in the pasuk, he moved them so far away that no one should feel like they have a claim to one part of Eretz Mitzrayim over another. That's what they did. So, but it was Yonatan the Maccabee who was probably the greatest, most successful of the Maccabees. They didn't even think that he was going to be anything because Yehuda was chosen as the leader. And then came his brothers, Shimon. But the one who was successful in setting up a country, an independent state of Israel, was Yonatan the Maccabee. Now what was his greatness? His greatness was, he was a diplomat. He said, we're not going to win everything with war. We have to make peace. He was a very, very clever politician. They even have a letter that he received from Sparta. Who was it? There was the Athenians and the Spartans, right? So Spartans were Greeks, but they were against the Hellenic Greeks. They weren't Hellenic Greeks. They weren't interested in world. They weren't that way. They were warlike people. They wrote letters to Yonatan of friendship and love and support. We have those documents. Fascinating.